Urgent Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here we bring you daily videos with the latest Pittsburgh Steelers updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Alright, Steelers Nation, today we've got some explosive news that's sure to light up your day. You know, the NFL offseason is always full of surprises, rumors, and big moves, but every once in a while, a story comes along that could really shake things up for a team like ours. And right now, the buzz is all about a potential blockbuster that might just redefine our running game for the upcoming season. So, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you could have Steelers fans talking for weeks. Let's start with the context, because it's important to understand who we're talking about. Nick Chubb, the Cleveland Browns star running back, has been one of the most prominent and talented players at his position over the past few seasons. Since entering the league in 2018, Chubb has consistently been a force on the field, a player who can change the game with his speed, vision, and power. 4 Pro Bowls, over 8,000 rushing yards in his career, and a reputation as one of the most reliable backs when healthy, that's been his story. But, as many of you know, the last couple of years haven't been kind to him. Injuries have taken a toll, and those injuries have cast some doubt over his future. Back in 2023, Chubb suffered a devastating knee injury, one that required significant recovery time. The kind of injury that can change a player's career trajectory, especially for someone who relies so much on explosiveness and cutting ability. And when he returned to play in 2024, it was clear he wasn't quite himself. He looked a step slower, and his production dipped. That's not unusual after such a serious injury, but it did raise questions about whether he'd be able to regain his peak form. And with Cleveland drafting 2 new running backs in Quinton Judkins and Dylan Sampson, it seems the Browns are looking to the future, perhaps even preparing to move on from Chubb. Now, here's where things get really interesting for Steelers fans. There's a growing buzz among analysts and insiders that Chubb might be on the move, and that the Steelers could be a very real landing spot for him. There's one particular analyst, Curt Popejoy from Steelers Wire, who's been vocal about the idea that Pittsburgh should seriously consider signing Nick Chubb before training camp. And let's be honest, if that happens, it would send shockwaves through the AFC North. Browns fans, I can only imagine how sick they'd feel if Chubb ended up on our side of the rivalry. Popejoy argues that Chubb, if healthy, would be the most talented running back on our roster by a mile. Think about that for a second. With Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, and Caleb Johnson, we've got a solid group, but adding a proven, elite back like Chubb would elevate our entire running game. And let's not forget, Pittsburgh has made it clear that they want to run the football more in 2025. That's been a consistent theme under coach Mike Tomlin, focusing on a balanced attack, controlling the clock, and wearing down defenses. Having Chubb in the mix would fit that philosophy perfectly. He's the kind of back who can grind out tough yards, break off the big runs, and keep defenses honest. Of course, the injury history is a concern. But from recent footage and reports, Chubb looks like he's on the mend, and he's been working hard to get back to full strength. There's a video circulating that shows him running, cutting, and looking more like himself. That's promising. And if he's truly healthy in 2025, his presence on the field would be a game-changer for us. Imagine him lining up behind our offensive line, which has been solid but always looking to improve, especially with young talent like Caleb Johnson, who's shown a lot of promise. Johnson, the rookie drafted in the 3rd round, could benefit greatly from having Chubb nearby, learning from an established veteran. Now, let's talk about the roster situation because it's important. The Steelers have Jaylen Warren, who's been impressive as a complementary back, and Kenneth Gainwell, who adds some versatility. But both of these guys are more suited to specific roles, Warren as a change-up pace guy, Gainwell as a receiver out of the backfield. Chubb would bring that veteran stability, a guy who's been through the battles and knows how to carry a heavy workload. Plus, he'd provide much-needed competition, pushing Warren and Johnson to elevate their game. And let's be honest, if Chubb proves to be healthy and productive, he could even claim the starting role outright. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of money for a guy coming off injuries. And you're right, but the good news is that Chubb's market value isn't sky-high right now. Spotrac estimates that he could sign a one-year deal around $3 million. That's a bargain for a player of his talent, a low-risk, high-reward scenario for Pittsburgh. If he performs, we get a top-tier back; if not, it's only a one-year investment. It's exactly the kind of move that makes sense for a team like ours, which is always looking to build a balanced, competitive roster without overspending. And let's not forget, this isn't just about adding a talented player. It's about making a statement. Pittsburgh has a rich history of finding and developing running backs: Franco Harris, Jerome Bettis, Le'Veon Bell, and more recently Najee Harris. But Chubb has that rare combination of power, speed, and vision that could make him a Steelers legend in his own right. It's precisely the kind of move that could energize our offense, give us a reliable ground game, and keep defenses guessing. Now, I want to give you a little bit of background on the current state of our team, because it's important to see how this fits into our overall picture. The Steelers have invested heavily in their defense, as always, but the offense has shown flashes of promise. Kenny Pickett, our young quarterback, is progressing, and he needs a solid running game to truly unlock his potential. Adding a veteran like Chubb could take some pressure off him, allow more play-action passes, and open up the field. Our offensive line, while solid, still has room for growth, but with a back like Chubb, they wouldn't need to hold their blocks as long, knowing they have a back who can break tackles and find holes. And let's look at the bigger picture here. The AFC North is shaping up to be a fierce division this year. The Ravens are always tough, the Bengals have Joe Burrow and that high-powered offense, and Cleveland, well, they're always dangerous, especially if Deshaun Watson hits his stride again. For Pittsburgh, making a bold move like signing Chubb could be the difference between a playoff run and missing out. It's a move that signals we mean business, that we're not just content with being competitive, we want to dominate. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical about the injury history, and that's understandable. But the NFL is about risk and reward, and taking a chance on a player like Chubb at this price makes a lot of sense. Plus, with the right medical staff and rehab program, there's a good chance he can stay healthy and be the player he once was. Remember, we're talking about a guy who was one of the league's top backs just a few years ago. His talent hasn't disappeared, it's just been sidelined temporarily. So, Steelers fans, imagine this scenario: Chubb in the backfield, running behind our offensive line, pounding out yards, setting the tone for our offense. The crowd in Heinz Field roaring as he breaks through a tackle or bursts into the second level. That's the kind of energy and excitement this move could bring. And if he stays healthy, he could be the missing piece that propels us into serious playoff contention. Of course, everything depends on how the offseason unfolds, whether Pittsburgh makes this move official, and how Chubb's recovery continues. But the signs are promising, and the chatter is heating up. It's one of those storylines that could define our summer and, ultimately, our season. So, keep an eye on this one, because a potential signing like this could change everything for the Steelers. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Nick Chubb would be a perfect fit for our team? Or do you prefer sticking with the current group and developing our young talent? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Steelers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for all the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news. We're in for an exciting offseason, and I can't wait to see what moves our team makes next. Until then, keep the faith, stay loud, and let's get ready for a thrilling 2025 season. Go Steelers!